Welcome to Wake Up with Marci, a deep dive into self-discovery. I'm your host, Marci Hopkins, and this is the space where we get real about life, transformation, and finding our true selves. Hello, and welcome back to Wake Up with Marci, the podcast for women seeking self-discovery, mental wellness, parenting insights, and the courage to thrive through life's biggest transitions. I'm your host, Marci Hopkins, and here we go deep into the real, raw, and beautiful process of healing, transformation, and waking up to the woman you were always meant to be. Today's guest is someone who embodies all of that and more. Julia Haart is a self-made entrepreneur, fashion industry visionary, global activist, and author of the memoir Brazen. You may know her from the hit Netflix series, My Unorthodox Life. But what you might not know is the profound strength it took for Julia to walk away from her life as an ultra-Orthodox and the religious life that she had. And she had to rebuild her identity and choose herself in a world that taught her not to. She is also the founder of Body by Julia Haart, which I absolutely love, a movement-based platform helping women reconnect with their bodies, sensuality, and personal power. And just recently, Julia was named the 2025 Kindness is Cool Award honoree, which congratulations, so
Thank
amazing.
You. Thank
Being
you.
recognized for your courage, compassion, authenticity, and just
Oh,
starting
make me cry. Thank you.
kindness. I mean, it's so fabulous what you're doing today, Julia.
I'm trying. Otherwise, what's the point of anything if you can't make things better, right? That to me is the purpose of life.
Well, I am so honored to have you on Wake Up and for you to share and just make an impact as you do with everyone on my community. So thank you.
Well, I'm so happy to be here with you. And, Marci and I met on her show. And I love the fact that you pivot, you decide what you want to do, and you create an incredible podcast. So you are really an amazing example for women everywhere, Marci. Really, you are.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It was one of the hardest things that I have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy to change everything.
Yeah. It's really hard to
and
build
scary.
Something. Yeah. And make the change. Yeah. And it's so scary.
You have to believe in yourself like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just knew that it was like the right time. Like you have to wait for timing. And and that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about. And I know you've been asked about this so many times, but when you made the decision to make the huge change in your life, I mean, you are a part of an ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. And I'm sure people are like, so how did you just make that change? I'm sure it was something you were thinking about for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way that I explain it to people is that for most of my life, I lived this dichotomy between who I am intrinsically as a person. I'm an eternal student. I love knowledge. I love learning, love inventing, and who I was supposed to be, which was this quiet, silent, subservient housewife who didn't read. So, in my world, not only are women not allowed to read secular anything, like, secular books or magazines, we're not allowed to read the religious books that men study from, because in my world, Nashim Daitan Kalos, which means a woman's mind is light, meaning she's incapable of grasping deep and esoteric subjects. So we weren't allowed to read the books that held the laws for our entire lives. And so I keep on being told I'm dumber than men, but I keep on looking at the men in my life and thinking, I don't think so. And of course, I've read all the books I wasn't allowed to read. And the biggest one, the Talmud, is written in Aramaic. So the boys are taught Aramaic. Of course, girls are not. So I taught myself Aramaic. And then I went and studied the Gemara.
Amazing.
So there had always been this fight, I guess, between who I am and who I was told I had to be. But they convinced me, that's the genius of religion, is that it convinces you to self-police yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believed that I was somehow flawed. I believed them that something was wrong with me, that I wasn't okay with this. And when my daughter was 7 or 8 years old, Miriam, she wanted to play soccer. She's very sporty. She's won for her age group, not Ironman, the other one, Spartan. She's won Spartan race twice. So when she was around
Oh,
6
wow.
years old, she
Mm-hmm.
asks my husband if she can play soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her no, because if she's playing in the field, because you can't wear pants in my world, right? So if she's playing in the field and her skirt goes up when she kicks, a man walking by the field may see her knees and get turned on, and therefore she can't play sports because it would be her sin.
Mm-hmm.
So my little 6 or 7-year-old looks up at my husband and says, okay, well, if I'm responsible for his sins, is he responsible for mine?
Wow. How
And that was all it
profound.
took, because they had convinced me that I was flawed. No one could convince me that my 6, 7-year-old was. I'd never said a word to her. It was just clear logic. And when I heard that is the day I decided to walk out the door. It took me 8 years to plan my escape. So I started around 34 years old, about maybe a little earlier, and I didn't leave until I was 42. Yes, like 33 maybe.
Unbelievable. So one of the things that we were just talking about and you brought up is the fear of making that change, right? So let's talk about the fear that you had. And like now you're about to make this move. How did you face that fear and move
Well, I
through
didn't,
that?
to be honest. But I
Yeah.
mean, this is the beauty of love. This is why love is more powerful than anything else on earth.
Yes.
So here I was. I had made money. I had prepared my escape. I was starting this shoe brand. I had my exit plan. I was done. Like, I had enough to take myself and my children and support the 3 of us. I was ready to go. 8 years. I planned for this for 8 years.
Wow.
And then here we are, ready to go. And I can't leave. I can't do it. I can't even explain to you what it's like to go literally into Mars. That's what it feels like. I would be going from the 1800s to the 21st century.
Yeah.
To a world where not a single human being knew my name. It's terrifying.
I can't
In your
imagine.
40s.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I couldn't do it. So I decided I'm going to commit suicide. And I realized, you know, in my world, like think 1800s, right? It's like, you know, Bridgerton, like the whole thing is about the match, right? It's all about the match. It's all about the match. So in my community, it's the same thing. It's all about who your children marry. That's all anybody cares about. It's all about the match. So I knew if I committed suicide, no one would marry my kids because I'd be the crazy mother who committed suicide. So I'm like, okay, I have to think of a way of killing myself that no one will realize I actually killed myself. Because so I decided I'm going to starve myself to death, because in my world, eating disorders they're not really so stigmatized, because if you have 16 children and you don't eat a lot, you're actually going to look good. So nobody really cares. I mean, I don't want to say nobody cares, but I'm saying it's not as big of a stigma. So I figured people will just think I had an eating disorder and still people will marry my kids.
Yeah.
I ate between 300 to 500 calories a day for close to a year.
Oh my God.
I was so emaciated that if I told you my weight, it would hit press everywhere. I was near death. I really was. And one day, this is November, and my daughter, Batsheva, had just recently gotten married, and I couldn't bear it anymore. I just couldn't bear it anymore. And my daughter Miriam comes home hysterically crying. And she's not a crier. We're not criers in my family.
Yeah.
You know, we don't cry. We don't let people see our pain.
Right.
So she comes in, and I'd never seen her so upset. I said, what happened? And she shows me a paper. Basically, the teacher accused her of cheating because her answers were too good to be written by a girl.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
So she was literally penalized for being extraordinary.
Right.
I literally packed my shit and we just left. And that was it, because at that second, I realized that I was being very selfish, because Yes, Batsheva would be fine, and yes, Shlomo would be fine, but Miriam would be me 20 years from now.
It's
And I couldn't do
incredible,
that
the
to my kids.
impact.
And I knew that
Mhm.
Batsheva had so much talent, that she was capable of so much, and Shlomo's a genius. Like, I wanted to
Yeah.
have them to have more.
Yeah.
And that's what got me out the door. What got me out the
Yeah.
door is love. What saved my life is love.
Yes.
That to me is the biggest impetus. If you are thinking of making a move, believe me, every moment that you improve your life, anyone who knows you, you inspire them to change. You help them, whether it's your siblings, your children, relatives, people you work with. You have no idea the power of a story, and how one person's journey can inspire your own. And I think, really, use your love.
Right.
Use your love.
I
If
believe
you
that
can't do
too.
it for yourself, do it for everyone else that's around you. Because we
But at that
women, we have a
moment,
hard time doing things for ourselves.
yeah,
But
we do.
but if we have a really hard time, I'm working on it. I'm way better. I'm way better.
Yeah.
I tell myself every day, I deserve, like I'm doing the mantras and all this stuff. I meditate. But, it took a long time to acknowledge the fact that I can want things, right? Until then, um, what drove me was only my children. And then freedom
Absolutely.
for other women. And then I
Right.
realized that, but I got to put myself into the equation too.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because we do put ourselves last in many situations. We
Yeah.
wear many hats. We're always giving of ourselves, and we lose ourselves so often in that. So with you, I mean, we leave a situation that's really bad, right? And a lot of times we think that's the hard part, but really starting over and finding that love for yourself and your own identity. So what has that process, or is like, first the first year, how was that for you, and how do you continue?
So really the first year is kind of a big mess
Mhm.
emotionally. I was, on one hand, terrified out of my mind every 5 seconds. I would literally
Mhm.
wake up into a panic attack.
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, the successes were coming so fast, and people loved my inventions and they loved my shoes. And all of a sudden, I'm going from cooking in the kitchen in Muncie, New York, to hanging out with royals. So it was, so it was just me. Really, that first year was just me surviving. I wasn't thinking about my mental health, or how I was just right foot, left foot. I was just putting one foot in front of the other and telling myself, I'm not going to fail. I don't care about anything else. I'm not going to fail. Failure is not an option. I'm
Right.
going to make this the biggest success, and I'm going to prove myself to the world.
Yeah.
And in fact, I didn't tell people my story until I became creative director of La Perla, because I
Mhm.
didn't want people to know me for what was done to me. I wanted to
Yeah.
first be known for what I could accomplish. And now, so I go through this whole thing. I build myself up. I work 20-hour days for 11 years, and I build $1 billion business. And
Right.
along comes my husband and literally not only steals my company out from under me, accuses me of theft, of lying, of being a con artist, a seductress. I think I got called everything but a witch. Over
Yeah.
200 articles accused me of misappropriating money, stealing my own car that I actually paid with my own money. Okay.
Right.
Like crazy things.
Yeah.
And so here I was again, after I built all of this, all it took is a man, and he took it all away. Now, of course, 3 years later, we're in a very different position. My divorce is about to be over, and right now I already own 50% plus control over his 50, plus half of whatever he's taken out. And in a few weeks, my divorce will be over, and then my whole
Oh.
ownership will be established. And I'm really
Mhm.
hoping that it's significantly more than, Anyway, so let's see what happens. But however,
Right.
here I am. Now everybody knows the truth. Everyone knows that he's the guy. There's arrest warrants out for him. Passport was revoked. His license was revoked. Now people know the truth, right?
Right.
But to get through those years was harder than leaving my community. Because I had done everything myself. My whole thing is about freedom. For me for someone to, like, you want to accuse me of things I'm capable of, like sometimes I'm very stubborn, I get frustrated. Yeah, I'm not a perfect person, no question.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
100%.
I got punished for my excellence. And it was easier to believe his story because it was familiar. My story is pretty wild, but it's the truth. And that's the beauty of the truth. You know, as they say,
well, it comes out, right?
Winston Churchill said, a lie goes halfway around the world before truth has time to put its pants on. But eventually truth puts its pants on. Eventually, that's why I knew if I just stood the course, because I knew I'd never taken a penny. So I knew if I stayed the course and waited for discovery, waited for someone to actually look at the evidence.
Yeah.
And there you go. So
there you go.
And how did I get through it? Because that was your original question, to be honest. But it was important to set the setting of how difficult it was for me emotionally and mentally. It felt like I was back in my old community. It felt like, again, a man took everything I had and made me into a nothing. So it's actually like a 3-step process. So the first thing I did was say to myself, okay, my purpose is freedom for people. So if I can't have personal freedom right now because, you know, he took all my money, he took everything, I need to fight for someone that has a much worse situation than I do, so I can get out of my own head. So I decided at the time it was Ukraine, and in Bakhmut, it was the front lines in Ukraine, December 2022 and January 2023. I decided to buy 7 ambulances. I drive through war-torn Ukraine with a bunch of people. We go to the front lines in Bakhmut, and we're literally sleeping with the officers in a kind of a converted hotel. I'm not sure you could call it that. Each floor had a garden hose for a shower. You get the general idea.
Yeah.
And it gave me courage because Ukrainians were fighting for their freedom with their lives. And so, and here I am, I'm there. And while we were there, I don't want to talk about the incident, but, you know, people died 3 seconds after speaking to us. And so it was actually emotionally a bit difficult to see that and to hear, you know, what happened. And so one of the people that I was with is a guy who's kind of like a doctor without borders. He goes to war zones and helps people. And he was so calm. And I'm like, dude, like they were talking to us 3 seconds ago, now they're dead. Like, how are you not freaking out? Yeah. And he hands me a book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah. And I don't want to say meditation because meditation in his world, it's a means, it's a tool. But what it really is quantum living, realizing that you're not a victim in your life, learning how to use your body and get rid of all of those neural pathways, that all these stories you've been telling yourself your whole life that are literally ruining your life, and changing the way you think and changing the way you feel, because we actually can control the way we think and feel, even though we're taught from when we're very young that we can't. And his whole thing is about joy and happiness. And that's how you connect to God or the universe or the source, whatever you want to call it, is by having unconditional love and joy. And that process is, I am like the happiest I've ever been in my life. I feel grateful. I used to wake up into panic attacks. I wake up every morning like a 12-year-old. Let's go. What are we doing today?
So let's talk about that, right? Because I say it, you're saying it, the power of gratitude, the power of our minds, the power of the choices and beliefs and the things that we say. Listen, we're going to talk poorly sometimes about ourselves,
but by the way,
it's that.
Well, right now it's scientifically provable. So I'll give you an example. They did this test a ways back, but now they understand what it means and are not trying to measure it out. But basically, they had a group of women all who had uterine cancer. And they read their energy fields, right? So we all emit energy at all times. You know, there's also radio waves and air waves. We can't see them with our naked eye, but we now do have machinery that you can see it with, right?
Right.
So what they noticed was that the pattern around all of these women, the energy pattern, like the electromagnetic fields, has a pattern, right? That
Yeah.
pattern was identical for every woman who had uterine cancer. So first they think to themselves, okay, so if you get uterine cancer, this is the pattern that develops. However, they also had a group of women who did not have uterine cancer, who were perfectly healthy, were not showing signs of anything. And they measured their electromagnetic field. And 4 of them, I think the number was 4 of them had the same pattern around their body that the women with uterine cancer did. And within 2 or 3 months, those 4 women developed uterine cancer.
Oh my God.
So what that shows is not that what happens on the inside should be affecting, what happens on the outside is affecting our insides. It's vice versa. It is our energy that is creating what's happening to us. We live with energy. It's an attraction-based system, and now, honestly, it's provable. And that's what I love about Dr. Joe. He's with UCSD and St. Johns Hopkins, and I think UCLA. There's scientists, there's doctors. I mean, this is now provable. You are
It is
not
now
a victim.
provable. They have tests
You
that can
are
prove
not
this.
a victim.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
No. And he saved himself.
I forgot what fear feels like.
Yeah.
I haven't felt fear in quite a long time.
Well,
because if you know that if you don't draw it in, it's not coming out, then what's there to be afraid of? Nothing.
I know.
You
I
can
agree
accomplish
100%.
anything. You can be limitless.
Yes.
So that I could not recommend more. If you're starting something new, this is the most powerful tool you could possibly use. Truly. Do Dr. Joe, because it's science, it's math, it's not just believe, it's not, there's no rules of things you can eat or not eat.
If it's important that you have the scientific backing, he proves it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
100%.
it used to be pseudoscience. Now it's actually scientific. There's hundreds of articles in peer-reviewed medical journals. There's massive universities working with them, because imagine if, I mean, think of the things you could do with that, right? Imagine if you knew the pattern of every kind of cancer, and instead of having to stick your breast between 2 metal things, you could go into your doctor's office. They could measure your energy field and tell you whether or not you have a predisposition to cancer. I mean, think about, I mean, that's where we're headed. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
So this is now provable.
I want to embrace that. I want to embrace that.
He has this thing called the Progressive Online Course.
Yeah.
Game changer, because again, he brings the science, he backs it up, he explains to you how your body works, and it works. It literally works. I've never felt so happy, so calm, and you know, my whole life I used to tell people, and I think we should really end here, but my whole life I used to tell people that I felt, in Yiddish there's an expression, nicht dahin, nicht daher, which means neither here nor there. So when I left Russia, I was a Jew in Russia, right? We left because we were being persecuted because we were Jewish. So in Russia, I was a Jew. I was the other, right?
Yeah, right.
Then I live in an internment camp in Vienna, Austria, and then I live in an internment camp in the Vatican. So again, I'm living in a tent. Again, don't belong. Then I moved to Texas. I'm the first Russian kid in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Wow. In the 70s.
Obviously don't fit in.
Right.
Then I go to my religious community and I'm this Russian again. So in my religion, in Russia, I was a Jew. In my world, I was a Russian, of course. And then I leave, time travel into the 21st century. And again, like, you know, don't belong. So my whole life, I have felt like I don't belong anywhere. And once I started this, I realized I belong. I know it's going to sound goofy, but it's the most incredibly empowering feeling ever. I belong to the universe. I am the creator of my own destiny. And that is the most beautiful, empowering thing there is.
Well, I'm so glad you have spoken about this, because I'm a true believer, and there's no convincing me, because my life has changed because of all of this work.
Me too.
And so I mean, Joe Dispenza, Rhonda Burns, there's so many out there that are making.
Yeah, I just love Joe because Dr. Joe, because it's science-based. That is science. Because I'm a numbers girl, I'm a data girl. I love learning.
No, I get it. I get it. And I've been so grateful that he came into my experience. And so I guess I attracted him into my
That's it.
experience through my
That's it.
work.
It is
Yeah.
an attraction-based universe. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scientifically proven. So,
Well,
you
get
know,
get
we
out
got
there,
to be
guys.
what we
Start
want
taking
to
a look.
attract.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about, I want to talk about Body by Julia because
Oh, yes, please. Okay, great.
right,
Thank you.
it's really important. And
Yeah.
you've created this movement.
Oh,
And
I'm wearing the bra now. Wait, hold on. Let me show you. Okay, can you see anything? I'm wearing like look at this.
no. Oh, there you go. Oh, I love
Maybe
it.
that's a little, what?
I said, I love it. I mean, that's what people are looking for too,
It's
because
so
that's the comfort
crazy
right there.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It's so insanely comfortable. And I don't know how we did this. Honestly, it was not on purpose, but when we were putting all these things together, we created our own fabric. I've never felt a softer, more delicious fabric on my skin in my life. I hate taking it off. I'm telling you, it's
Right.
the most comfortable. And you know, we made bodysuits that you can wear under that are literally invisible, or you could wear them as tops under jackets with jeans. People are doing that all the time now. And what makes us so special is that we are the first company, well, when I was in La Perla, I did it, but we are the first company today to put bras into clothing. So it's not just sold by your dress size, it's sold by your cup size. So, and I'm not talking about the bras, I'm talking about the bodysuits,
Bodysuits.
the
Right.
shapewear.
Yeah.
So you can buy a medium double D or a
Mhm.
medium F. And
Yeah.
we go from extra small to extra, extra, extra large and all the way up to an F cup. So you do not need to wear a bra. And in a few months, we are introducing full-on ready-to-wear clothing. T-shirts, tank tops, bodysuits with your bra
With
built in. So
which
that
is
you
my
don't
favorite.
have, that's right, the built-in bra with your bra built in.
Yeah.
And a slightly shaping so you look fabulous at all times. And then in November, we're going to be introducing shapewear swimwear. And in February, we're going to be introducing a bridal collection where your bra and your shapewear is inside your dress. So
Brilliant.
your marrying never has to know that you're wearing shapewear, and nobody will know. And of course, it's going to be Julia Haart designing these dresses, so obviously they're going to be fabulous.
You know they're going to be good.
So, I mean, our return rate, I think, I don't know what the average, I think someone told me 30 something percent, someone told me 60 something percent. So I don't know, but that's like the average rate of returns on social media. I think ours is 5%.
Amazing.
Like
amazing.
No one returns it. Usually the people who do is because it's the wrong size and then they just switch. Like people don't return it. You know?
Well, let's talk about why you did this, right? Because you've created this line for women to really embrace themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
And I love that you talk about the sensuality part of that, which we do lose, and we feel like somehow so many of us feel like we have to be uncomfortable around that.
Yeah.
Right.
And also I think, here's my thing. How can you be happy and have a productive day if you're in pain?
Yeah. That's all you're thinking about.
That's all
I
you
tell
think.
you, when I get dressed half the time, that's what I think about.
Yeah, I wish I could unhook my bra. I wish I could take off my uncomfortable shoes. You see a theme in my life, right? It was comfort on shoes, then stretch lace and making things movable. And now it's about incorporating the bra into clothing so that you don't get home and go, aha. And I'm telling you, the fabric, you'll see.
Yeah.
You try one, like, it's the most incredibly comfortable fabric in the world. And here's the thing, you shouldn't have to trade sensuality, femininity, luxury, beauty for comfort. Women should have both.
Yeah.
You cannot have fashion for women that's not for women. So
I used to be told there's, beauty is pain.
Suffer for beauty. What idiotic guy came up with this? And why the F are we still listening to this BS? No. So that's what that's part one. And then part two was there's a lot of shame around shapewear.
Yeah.
Women they don't want other women to know they're wearing it. People hide it. What gave me the idea was the Bridget Jones's Diary movie where she's sitting in her bed and she's trying to decide. She ends up wearing the shapewear, goes, gets the guy, brings him home, forgets she's wearing them. And there's that cringe scene where he realized she's got shapewear.
Right.
And I realized, and I started asking around, and I said, like, what do you do if someone's undressed and wearing shapewear? And I got all these crazy answers, like, mid foreplay, I'll run into the bathroom and I'll take it off, I'll hide in a drawer. I'm thinking to myself, this is insane. Women shouldn't have to feel shame for anything related to their bodies, period.
I know.
So that's what gave me the idea. What gave me the
Yeah.
idea was to create shapewear that was so beautiful that no one would know it's shapewear. And so you could wear it and feel protected and sucked in and everything you want, but you don't have to feel ashamed because it's so pretty. You could wear it out as clothing.
And I love that you have different levels of the compression too.
Yes.
Because some of them are so uncomfortable.
Yeah. The ones
I don't even want to look at them.
Yeah. So we have very few, like now, because I'm so glad you brought that up, because originally we had one that was super, super suck you in. But people are like, yeah, but we would only do that on weddings. We want something day to day. And so, you know, we have now light, medium, intense. But the lights and the mediums, I mean, that fabric, I don't know. It's incredible. And wait till the t-shirts and tank tops come out. You're never going to want to take them off because, you know, you won't need a bra. I mean,
and I'm a tank top girl. So I love a tank top.
I love tank tops and camisoles and t-shirts and bodysuits, the whole 9 yards. And then we'll start, you know, one step at a time.
One step at a time, but I'm just so impressed. I mean, literally from all that you have done and leaning into this, and leaning into each thing that there's something that's sparked inside of you and you say, I'm going to do it, and you make it happen. And that's what's so incredible. And there's so many women out there that feel so stuck and they can't move on. Like, and they are so fearful.
Then maybe I'm going to end with one thing, and I talk about this all the time. So I apologize if you've heard me say this before, but to me, it's the best example. I'm not a big fan of zoos because I don't like the idea of something in a cage for my viewing pleasure. I don't like it. It just doesn't sit with me. And when my kids were younger, they really wanted to go. And so I found this place called the San Diego Zoo where they kind of recreate their habitat. So they're not in cages. So we go there, we're in this safari thing, and we get to this African elk. The guide tells us that this African elk can jump higher than any animal in the animal kingdom. Guide asks us, where is the fence holding these elks in? We look around, no fence. And these guys can jump so high. He points our attention to 4 telephone poles at the corners of this enclosure. So imagine like a square. And at the corner of each square is a giant long telephone pole. Connecting these telephone poles is a half pipe C. So if you took a big pipe and cut it in half and you'd have a C, that's connecting these 4 poles. So you ready for this?
What?
This animal, in order to jump, the way that it works instinctively is it goes to the edge of something, it looks up, it calculates the distance, and then it jumps. So this African elk, when it gets to the end of the enclosure, it looks up, it sees the half pipe C and thinks there's a ceiling.
Wow.
And never tries to jump. They could walk through. The ceiling is only in their head.
Yes.
And that blew my mind because it hit me that that's women. Our biggest ceiling is in here. If we believe we can, if we demand it instead of ask for it, if we fight for it instead of waiting our turn, the biggest impediment to change is here. They looked up and thought there was a ceiling, and they could have walked through.
I love that. I love that you shared that, and it is all in here.
It's here. It's all in here.
Right.
You need heart. You gotta have a strong heart, and a, pretty decent head.
Yep. You got. and I just love everything that you've shared with us, Julia, and everything that you do, and your bravery and your honesty,
Thank you.
and the mission that you have to help women and others globally.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying.
you remind us that it's never too late in everything that you do. And I just want to talk to all the women listening. If you're stuck in a life that doesn't fit anymore, I want you to know, and Julia said this the other night at the award ceremony, you have permission to leave, you have permission to grow, and you have permission to come home to yourself. Be the woman that you are meant to be, but you just have to give yourself permission.
That's always the first step.
Exactly. And healing's not easy. Take it from me.
No.
It is not. Reinvention is uncomfortable, but let me tell you, it is so worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's the freedom.
Self-mastery is pretty difficult.
It is. It is.
But it's so worth it, because who knew that it feels good to feel good? Even if nothing on your outside gives you any reason to feel good, but just feeling good, that energy out is going to bring it back in. And in the meantime, you just feel better, even when you're struggling, because you feel good.
You feel good. And let me tell you, if you think if you can't, you think if you feel bad all the time, you can't feel good, you absolutely can.
You absolutely
take it from us.
I can't, believe me. Take it from us. Yeah. My kids got into it. Now they're massive meditators as well. They came with me already to 2 of the retreats. And they got into it now because I talked to them about it. But because they came to me literally, because, I'm very small, so I don't really take much medication. My body doesn't react well to it. It's like, I don't really even like, Motrin's a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? So if your 12-year-old can't take it, either can I. So I don't take pills. My kids come over to me and they're like, Ema, you're on something. What is happening here? What's with all the calmness and the joy in the middle of this horrible divorce? Like, what's happening here? What are you on? And I'm like, guys, I swear I'm not taking anything. I'm doing Dr. Joe Dispenza. So they came to this because they saw the change in me. Even though I started doing it in January 2023, when my life was a disaster. And every day I woke up to people calling me literally a criminal. But I started feeling different inside, and then everything changed. And now look where we are.
Everything changed.
That's it.
And tell me the course with Joe Dispenza. Which one was that?
It's called the Progressive Online Course.
Oh, I want to look at that.
I'm serious. That's even more important than the book, because it gives you the techniques and it, in a very palatable way, explains the science, so you can start understanding how this stuff is happening, which makes it much more meaningful. And also you believe it more because, well, here's a graph from, UCSD that says it. So it's such a game changer. Everything I have, in my personal opinion, is because I've thrown out negative emotions and changed the neural pathways in my own body. And it
100%.
feels great. It feels great. Feels great. That's
great.
it.
I love it. I love that
great.
for you. And you're just showing that it's possible. Just, you got to make the decision and you got to do the work, but it's so worth it. And so please, if you all, if this episode has moved you, please share it, leave a review, just to help get this messaging out there to others. And until next time, Julia, thank you so much.
Marci, thank you so much. I love hanging out with you. You're so amazing. Really, what you've been through and everything you've gone through, and again, you have that same joy. It comes out of you. So really, I love everything you're doing.
Thank you. That means so much to me. And let's just keep waking up to that courage, compassion, and clarity, girlfriend.
That's it.
Thank you again, Julia. And I'll see you guys next week.